Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Norristown Area High School football. We're here at Roosevelt Field, where the Eagles are about set to kick off against the Colonials of Plymouth-Whitemarsh. I'm Alan Raleigh, along with Jeff Brandon. Of course, Norristown opened up their season with a 49-0 whitewashing of borough rival Bishop Kenrick, a game in which Norristown showed they have a pretty potent rushing attack, Jeff.
Well, I think that's the understatement of the year there, Alan. Norristown garnering nearly 400 yards on the ground and a phenomenal showing from their rushing attack. Danny Boyd, who has their number one back, highly touted preseason here, carried the ball only 9 times for 166 yards for a phenomenal average of more than 18 yards per carry. However, I think more importantly than Danny Boyd, whom we thought was going to be a star for them, Forrest Tucker emerged as a fine running back for Norristown. He averaged nearly 9 yards a carry himself, rushed for 88 yards in the ball game, and he must have had 30 or 40 yards taken away from him on penalties. Those two guys were the key for Norristown, but I also think you have to remember that Frank Cassano ran the ball well for Norristown, even though he only played 2.5 quarters, and the fact that 12 players rushed with the ball for Norristown in that 49-0 drubbing that they gave to the Bishop Kenrick Knights. So not only did Norristown emerge with their big guys, you got to give a chance for Roger Grove to have a look at a lot of players on his ball team.
And the Eagles had a very diversified offensive attack, too. They came out on the wishbone, but on quite a few occasions, they went to the I formation, to the open set, and then back to the wishbone again. Frank Cassano did an excellent job running things out of the Eagles' backfield. And, of course, Cassano, who as a junior last season threw for well over 1,100 yards and picked up 16 touchdown passes, started off hitting with 2 touchdown strikes in the Kenrick route. And he looks like he found a favorite receiver in 5'5" Herald Golson. Only 130 pounds, but excellent speed and a good set of hands, too.
Well, that's right. Harold Golson, phenomenal ball game. He only had 3 receptions, I think, but he was all over the field, it seemed, and I think he had several plays called back because of penalties also. In addition, he was a fine punt returner for the Eagles. And you mentioned those size stats, 5'5" and 130 pounds. That's a small ball player on a high school football team, but I understand he can bench press nearly twice his body weight, which is a phenomenal test. Guy it must be all muscle. Blazing speed, very impressive, and Frank Cassano found him wide open at times. He runs super patterns.
You know, this evening here at Roosevelt Field, we're probably seeing a matchup of the 2 best quarterbacks in all of Suburban 1 League, and probably 2 of the finer ones in all of southeastern Pennsylvania. We've already touched on Frank Cassano's stats, but PW has Mickey Pergine at the helm. As a junior last season, he had quite a few touchdown passes and threw for close to 1,000 yards, and he started off strong with a 178-yard, 1-touchdown performance in PW's opening loss to North Penn, and I think we're going to see quite an aerial attack here this evening.
Well, I think PW, in order to win this ball game, because I have to say that Norristown is the favorite coming into tonight's contest, Mickey Pergine is going to have to air the ball out, and he's going to have to throw well. He's going to have to avoid the 2 interceptions that he had in their opener against North Penn. Pergine is a fine ball player, there's no question about it, but Frank Cassano is just as good, if not better. Cassano, as we realize, was the first-team quarterback for Suburban 1 National last year, threw for over 1,100 yards last year, threw for over 100 last week, and Cassano's game is on. Pergine is going to have to do something for Plymouth-Whitemarsh this evening, and you have to remember that the ground attack for PW isn't perhaps what the ground attack is for Norristown High, and I think the key for PW this evening is going to be stopping Norristown with the run.
And you touched on Mickey Pergine's passing ability. Of course, Norristown's defensive line lining up, getting ready to go after Pergine back in that pocket, leading the way, Theron Ellis, Greg Reinhardt, Mike Taylor. So they're going to put a formidable rush on Pergine this evening, I'm sure.
Well, I think in the ball game against Bishop Kenrick, Allen, the Norristown line really didn't go all out. I think tonight we're going to see the first true test of how aggressive the Norristown defense can be. As you mentioned, the 3 big names, Reinhardt, Ellis, and Taylor. Those guys are big, they are strong, and they really want a big season for Norristown High. I saw Mike Taylor earlier today, and he said Norristown is ready. They won a championship. They won a Suburban 1 League National. These 3 preseason games against Bishop Kenrick, Plymouth-Whitemarsh, and Methacton are very important, though, because they're local, and you want to get started with a 3-0 kick to begin your season.
And perhaps a slight bit of deja vu here on Roosevelt Field this cool fall evening. Last year, Plymouth-Whitemarsh upset the Eagles 22-20 here at Roosevelt Field. It was their first win against the Eagles in over 11 seasons, ironically on the same date, September 13th, which just so happens to be Friday the 13th. Now, you never know what could happen.
Well, I think it's interesting to note that Reese Whitley will not be with Plymouth-Whitemarsh this evening. He has been in the hospital recuperating from back surgery, and Len Andrews, I believe, is taking over. One of his assistants will be leading Plymouth-Whitemarsh this evening. So Whitley not on the field. He's got a lifetime, 43-43-2 record, I believe. Could be a drawback for Plymouth-Whitemarsh. I'm not certain how big of a factor that's going to be, but I think Plymouth-Whitemarsh is the underdog, and they've got nothing to lose here this evening. They can pull out all the stops. It's an embarrassment to Norristown if they lose, I think.
Okay, before we go, your prediction?
Okay, you're going to put me on the spot. I'm going to say Norristown 21-10.
Very conservative. Okay, let's head down to the field as we pick up tonight's ball game between the Norristown Eagles and the Colonials of Plymouth-Whitemarsh. And there you see the 1985 Eagles taking to the field. This game, of course, being brought to you by the Norristown Area School District under the direction of Tony Koya and Sam Galbraith. I'm Alan Rowley along with Jeff Brand, and tonight a very crisp and clear night for football. Ideal weather as opposed to the opener against Bishop Kenrick, Jeff. About 85 degrees that evening and high humidity. Here we have temperatures in the mid-60s, I'd say. A perfect football evening.
Well, it's absolutely pleasant out here, Alan. We were earlier today anticipating perhaps a little bit colder weather, and I'm sure the potential still exists for the temperatures to drop precipitously into the 40s even perhaps. But right now it's super football weather. Couldn't ask for anything nicer, and clear skies.
The only thing I think the players have to be weary of is that the drop in the temperature so quickly in the last few hours, it will make the turf a little slick out there at times, so perhaps we'll see some footing problems. Norristown, of course, in the blue and white. The Colonials, a PW on the far side of the field with the white uniforms with the red trim. And there you see the Norristown Eagles marching band under the direction of Chuck Haraho this year.
Alan, I'm sorry, Alan, while we still have some time before the beginning of this ball game as we await the playing of the national anthem, I'd just like to mention to you and to the fans out there and our viewers, I spoke with Mike Taylor earlier today, and Mike mentioned to me, gee, Jeff, you mentioned that Frank Casano was supposed to be starting defensively. Frank doesn't start for us defensively. Brian Word has always been our starter. And I said, Mike, thank you for telling us that. And really, we appreciate it because our schedules certainly don't revolve around Norristown High football all the time, although we certainly enjoy doing these ball games. We really don't have as much time to prepare for them as perhaps we'd like to have. And if you find that we're doing something out there that that doesn't jibe correctly, or we're calling numbers wrong or names wrong, please let us know about it, because we're interested to find out, and we'd like to correct things if possible.
And we always are kidding on the air about our renegotiated contract, but for the last 6 years we've been doing this for free, so I figure the criticism can stay away. But if anyone does have any suggestions, feel free to direct them to Tony Koya at the Norristown Area High School Communications Department, and we'll certainly take them under consideration.
Absolutely. So we apologized to Frank last week, and to Roger Grove, I suppose, for questioning his strategy, perhaps, in starting Frank Casano.
And we'll be back in a moment after the playing of the national anthem. And another stellar performance by the Norristown Eagles marching band as we are preparing for the opening kickoff here at Roosevelt Field. Norristown, as we told you during the pregame show, an easy 49-0 victory in their opener against Bishop Kendrick. Meanwhile, Plymouth-Whitemarsh a tougher time against a non-league foe. They played the Knights of North Penn. North Penn emerging with a 14-8 victory. In fact, the Colonials didn't get on the board until there were 9 seconds left in the contest. That time, Mickey Pergine tossed a touchdown pass. As we told you last year on the same date, September 13th, Norristown upset by Plymouth-Whitemarsh 22-20. Mickey Pergine in last week's game against North Penn, a very impressive performance. 13 of 25, 175 yards and a touchdown pass. And of course, he was picked off 2 times.
And of course, Pergine coming from one of the most highly touted football families in this area.
Brother John, or not brother, excuse me, I didn't mean that. John Pergine, of course, once a star here for Plymouth-Whitemarsh, went to Notre Dame and eventually played for the Washington Redskins, I believe it was, in the NFL about 8-10 years ago. There you see the Eagles and the Colonial captains going out to the middle of the field for the opening coin flip. Co-captains for the Plymouth-Whitemarsh Colonials, number 33, Lenny Moore, along with number 17, quarterback Mickey Pergine. Out there for the Eagles, number 5, Frank Casano, number 79, Greg Reinhardt in the middle of your screen, and number 54, Mike Taylor. They are the tri-captains for the Eagles. Also out there, number 77, Theron Ellis, and number 61, Jim Robinson.
And of course, the Eagles head coach, Roger Grove. He's done a fine job since taking over the program here at Norristown High, consistently producing winning ball clubs for this high school. And it looks like he's got enormous potential for this year's ball club.
This could be the longest coin flip in history.
The clock is ticking. As the sun sets over Roosevelt Field this evening, it looks like the crowd is a bit thin so far. However, we did notice that in the Bishop Kendrick Norristown game, and it filled up appreciably. However, I'm amazed that there aren't more people here at game time.
And Plymouth-Whitemarsh has won the flip. They have elected to receive. They will be taking the ball and going from right to left on your screen as the players get set here for the opening kickoff. Of course, that's typical, though, I think, of the Roosevelt Field crowd here. Usually they start coming in around 8 o'clock or so, especially with the parking situation in the area. But I'm surprised at the low turnout for PW. Their stands, boy, if they're not even 10% filled over there. Over there, of course, the far side of the field. And PW brought their band here, too, tonight.
Well, the Marching Colonials have been for many years one of the most highly regarded organizations as far as bands are concerned. In fact, in the entire nation, as a matter of fact, not just in the Pennsylvania and the Delaware County, the Delaware Valley region. Several years ago, Colonial Marching Band won numerous awards, state and national competitions.
Plymouth-Whitemarsh coming off a 7-4 season last year, 4-3 in Suburban 1 League play. As we said in the beginning of this telecast, Coach Reese Whitley sidelined due to recent back surgery. Lee Andrews in charge of the Colonials here this evening.
And back deep for Plymouth-Whitemarsh to receive the kickoff are going to be number 33, Lenny Moore, and number 22, Ernest Brewer.
Ernest Brewer, the near man on your TV screen.
Kicking off for Norristown will be number 34, Walt Favacchia.
And it's a short kick. It'll be fielded by one of the up men at the 27-yard line. Not too much running room. The PW getting up to about the 34-yard line. Caught a 7-yard return there, as the Colonials will take the field, first down on their 34-yard line.
And Alan, I believe that was number 32, Keith Davis, the ball carrier for Plymouth-Whitemarsh, one of your up men.
And we'll set you the starting lineups as we get a chance here on this first series. Mickey Bergine, of course, number 17 at the helm of the PW attack. The back split open in the backfield. That's number 33, Lenny Moore, now shifting over to the far side. And the give is up the middle. Not too much running room, maybe a pickup of about 2 yards, called 2nd and 8 as the Eagles are in there on the stop, leading the way, number 79, Greg Reinhardt. Carrying the ball that time, number 32, Keith Davis. He is in the backfield along with number 33, Lenny Moore. Number 35, Tony Whitfield, shuttling the play now from the sideline. They're calling it 2nd and 7 here on the second play of this ball game. PW with some decent running room that time with the ball. Number 24, Ty Howard, a fumble, and let's see who recovered. The Eagles are pointing in their direction, and it's going to be Norristown ball. So a nice gain that time by number 24, Ty Howard, negated on the turnover. And Jeff, reminiscent of the Bishop Kenrick game, where on their opening drive, their opening series, in fact, they fumbled the ball, gave the Eagles a golden opportunity. They went in immediately for the score.
Well, any football game can depend so much on turnovers and how those turnovers result. And Norristown was on the long end of several last week, which created the big difference early in the game. And here, right off the bat against Plymouth-Whitemarsh, they get a big break and take over already in Plymouth-Whitemarsh territory at the 48-yard line.
And the Eagles going to that wishbone attack. Frank Cassano looking for some room. Oh, the pocket collapsed that time, and Cassano taken down for a loss. He's back in Eagles territory at the 49-yard line, dropping Frank that time. Number 55, Troy Bias, 6-foot linebacker, a senior for the Colonials. And Jeff, that time, no pass protection whatsoever.
Well, I'll tell you, there was no one fooled that time. I believe that time they left Frank Cassano alone. I think it was going to be a bootleg to the right side, and Cassano simply didn't fool anyone on that play action fake, and the Plymouth-Whitemarsh defenders in there.
There you see Boyd, Davis, and Bryant in the wishbone attack, lining up behind Frank Cassano, who drops back for the quick little pass over to the right side, and it is incomplete, intended that time. Let's see, that was
number 6, Dave Mark. Dave Mark that time had to come back for that pass. So here's a situation we didn't encounter too often against Bishop Kenrick. 3rd down and 13 to go. Norristown, of course, only had to punt the ball one time against Bishop Kenrick. Frank Cassano booted that ball for 30 yards.
And the Norristown defense held Kenrick to just 2 first downs in the entire ball game.
Golson split to the right side.
Backs in the I formation this time. The delayed draw to Danny Boyd. We saw Boyd pick up quite a few yards against Kenrick this way, and he does it again up the sideline to the 31-yard line. So give Danny Boyd a pickup of 21 yards on that carry as the Eagles get the easy first down and advance deep into PW territory. They're setting it right at the 30.
At that time, Ernest Brewer finally brought Danny Boyd down, but I'll tell you, heck of a draw play that time by Norristown.
As we said against Bishop Kenrick last week, Danny Boyd, 9 carries, good for 174 yards, including a 47-yard TD run. The give up the middle that time, not too much running room, maybe a pickup of about 3 yards on the play for Norristown. Call it 2nd and 7. Let's see, carrying the ball that time for the Eagles, number 1, Forrest Davis. Herald Golson shuttling in the plays, along with number 6, Dave Mark for the Eagles, bringing him in from head coach Roger Grove. 9 minutes to go here in the opening quarter. The Eagles taking over after a Plymouth-Whitemarsh fumble. The ball on the 29. Cassano giving to the up man. Or no, he pitches it to Danny Boyd. Tries to cut back inside that time. A good hit by PW.
And that time the tackler was number 32, Keith Davis, and he really stayed with Danny Boyd that time, brought him down nicely in the open field.
Boyd saw that he had no running room to the outside, tried to cut back inside, and he was taken down immediately.
Looks like your defensive leader out there for Plymouth-Whitemarsh is number 52, Steve Borkowski.
Big play here, 3rd and 8 situation, Jeff. Ball on the 29. Let's see if Cassano sets up the throw. The backs are in the I formation. Boyd and Davis behind Cassano. Here's Golson coming into the near side. Cassano dropping back, the quick out right over the middle. It's complete to Herald Golson. He's got the first down and plenty more.
Tell you what, Herald Golson pulled that ball in on his hip that time. Tough catch, especially to come around the left side, continue running downfield for the first down. Nice play by Herald.
And it's a pickup of 12 yards, good enough for the first down. Casano completing it to Herald Golson. Ball now marked on the 17. Well, the Eagles converting twice so far in the 3rd and long situations. There you see Bryant Boyd and Davis in the backfield. To give that time, I believe, was that Prince Bryant, Jeff?
Yes, it
was.
No
running room at all. Stop that time by number 74, Chris D'Onofrio of the Colonials.
And some of your other starters out there for Plymouth-Whitemarsh, number 22, Ernest Brewer, number 24, Ty Howard. And we'll get out on the field now for this play. Get you the rest of those starters in just a moment.
Backs in the eye. Golson this time going to the left side behind Casano. Casano dropping back to pass under an immediate rush, trying to roll out, has someone down the sideline, almost intercepted that time by PW. Frank lucky to get that one out of his hands.
Well, rather ill-advised pass that time, I think, by Frank Casano. Heavy pursuit by the Plymouth-Whitemarsh defenders, and Frank threw that one through the hands of a PW defender. And as you say, lucky the ball was not intercepted. I'm impressed. My immediate impression is that PW has a quick defensive squad. And some of those players out there for the Colonials, number 33, Lenny Moore, number 52, Steve Borkowski, number 54, Guy Fardone, number 55, Tony Bias, number 56, Jeff Gamberg, number 69, Rick Carbo, number 74, Chris D'Onofrio.
Eagles in a 3rd and 11 situation. They've converted both times on 3rd and long. Here comes the rush again. Casano dumps it off. No way that time. What a hit by PW. The pass completed, I believe, out to the safety man on that play. I believe it was number 26, Prince Bryant, and he was immediately tackled by PW.
Well, that time the play was made by number 32, Keith Davis. And Davis, super play. I don't know that Prince Bryant was the safety valve there. I think the Norristown defenders may have been pulling Plymouth-Whitemarsh in to go for the screen play, setting up the screen on that play. The rush seemed so intense. I can't believe that Norristown's offensive line broke down that easily. However, Davis made a super play, sticking right with Prince Bryant.
And the Eagles here on a 4th and 21 with the ball at the 29 are deciding to go for it. Herald Golson, the man in motion, coming over to the near side. Casano, the straight back. Drop, plenty of room, has his man wide open. Golson spins around. I think he lost track of where that ball was that time. We can hear assistant coach Tom Pierantozzi here in the background saying, here it is, it was wide open.
Tell you, Herald Golson had 3 steps on his defender easily. Golson, as you said, spun around, lost track of the ball, and couldn't retain his footing to get underneath that ball. The ball was right there on the sideline. Herald just lost track of it.
A good gamble for the Eagles here. PW is going to be getting the ball, taking it over on the 28-yard line.
Out there on defense for Norristown, number 3, Darian Smith, number 6, Dave Mark, number 54, Mike Taylor, number 86, Roger Phillip, number 79, Greg Reinhardt. I'll get you the rest of those players in just a moment.
Oh, no running room that time. A matter of fact, Norristown taking down PW for at least a 2-yard loss that time. Ty Howard, the ball carrier.
And Greg Reinhardt, the tackler for Norristown. And did you see Theron Ellis, number 77, leap over Greg Reinhardt at the end of that tackle?
Nothing surprises me about Theron. After watching him play basketball for the Eagles last year, the man has tremendous leaping ability. Also great size at 6'4", 220.
Super football player. Also out there for Norristown, 51, Bill Musey, number 61, Jim Robinson.
And here Pergine rolling out, has his man. The pass is complete.
Oh, nice cut. Oh, my. And Bill Musey makes a saving tackle that time. I'll tell you, what a super cut by number 33, Lenny Moore. Three beautiful plays.
That time the Eagles defense cracked. They should have had that man back into the 31, but there is a flag on the play. And let's see which way they're going to be walking it back.
Perhaps could be a hold against Plymouth-Whitemarsh. Even worse.
That clip there when he was sidestepping all those tacklers. Oh, what a costly penalty. After a nice 20-yard pickup, they're going to go backwards now, 15.
Beautiful play by Lenny Moore. I was very impressed with his footwork there. Dazzled 2 Norristown tacklers, and Bill Musey made that saving play. However, it's all brought back, as you said, Alan, a 15-yard penalty. And they'll walk it back, and that's a big break for Norristown. We're scoreless here with 6 minutes remaining in the first quarter.
And now PW facing a 2nd and 27 instead of a 1st and 10 in Eagles territory. So I'd assume we're going to get to see Mickey Bergine display his arm here on these next couple of plays.
Also in the backfield for Norristown, number 25, Brian Word.
Oh, the delay draw and plenty of running room that time. But the hole closes up around the 21-yard line. Carrying the ball that time, number 32.
Keith Davis.
And in there on the tackle, Jeff?
Number 54, Mike Taylor.
And they're going to call it 3rd and 18 with 5.5 minutes to go with the clock running in the first quarter, this scoreless contest. Ball marked on the 21. Well, Jeff, put it up now.
I think Bergine's going to throw here, yes.
Bergine, the deep drop, plenty of time, airs it out right over the middle, has his man, who puts it up in the air and pulls it back down again. Boy, what a pop by the Eagles defense.
And I'll tell you, what concentration that time by the ball carrier. Who was that, Alan?
Was that Pete?
Number 81, Pete Smerecki. I'll tell you, Bergine laid the ball right in his hands. Smerecki was hit by Mike Taylor, I believe it was. Popped the ball up in the air, and as Smerecki was falling to the ground, kept his eye on the ball and managed to pull it back in. Heck of a play by Smerecki.
And he got the first down by about a yard, Jeff.
That's phenomenal. What a play.
So a 19-yard completion there. Pete Smerecki, of course, in the North Penn loss. 5 catches, 58 yards, including a touchdown reception. So Bergine, looking things over, decides to call time with 4:52 to go in this scoreless game in the first quarter.
Also out there for Norristown in the defensive backfield, number 40, Chris Majewski. Number 6, Dave Mark. Out there with the rest of the Eagle starting defensive squad.
And Jeff, the crowd starting to increase in size here, especially on the PW side, as we said earlier.
I was just starting to think that. The crowd is materializing, absolutely. People pouring into Roosevelt Field as we wind down the first quarter, 4:52 remaining in the first.
And while we have a second, just want to mention that Norristown continues their slate of non-league opponents by taking on Methacton here at Roosevelt Field. The game will be on September 20th, Friday evening at 7:30. Then on September 27th, Suburban One League National Conference play. They open up against Pennsbury, probably their toughest foe in all of the league.
Absolutely. Tough ball game in the Pennsbury Falcons.
So make sure you have a couple of weeks to come on out here and see the Eagles before they hit the road in mid-October. Okay, PW, 1st and 10 situation for Gene, taking the deep drop. Here comes the Eagles rush. He gets
screenplay.
Plenty of running room that time.
And I'll tell you, Lenny Moore, number 33, made a heck of a run, and give credit to the PW blockers. They set up that screen beautifully. Bergine lofted it into Lenny Moore's hands. He had 3 blockers out in front. Norristown could do nothing. Huge gain.
Oh, the Eagles had Reinhardt, Theron Ellison, another defender back there rushing Bergine, and as you said, it left the left side of that field wide open.
That played good for at least 23 yards.
So Mickey Bergine has his team on the move. 1st and 10, 4.5 to go. With the ball now in Eagles territory on the 47-yard line. Backs in the open set. And they give it up middle, no running room. Oh, he breaks a couple of tackles that time. PW picking up maybe about 5 yards. That looked like number 33, Lenny Moore.
That's right, number 33, Lenny Moore is quite a back here, folks. We've seen 3 fine plays from him already, still with 4 minutes remaining in the first quarter. And I think Norristown's going to have to adjust their defense a bit to key perhaps a little bit on Lenny Moore.
Lenny Moore started that time, lined up at one of the flanker positions, came on around and took the handoff, and I think that misdirection play, it cost the Eagles. 3:40 to go in the first. 2nd and 6. Bergine, plenty of time, airs it out, has his man. Oh, and it's tipped there by the Eagles defender. Let's see, who was that, Jeff?
Number 25, Brian Word. Heck of a play by Brian that time. Receiver was open. Bergine lofted that ball beautifully. Broken up at the last minute, though, by Brian Word.
And the intended receiver that time was number 33, a man we've been mentioning quite a few times so far in this game, Lenny Moore. Boy, Bergine has quite a rifle there. Nice, tight spiral on the ball, and the overhand delivery really sets up well.
What are the specs on Bergine there, Al? 6'3", 185. That's a good height for him, too. Good size.
Well, I saw in the Times Herald preview, he said he'd put on about 20 pounds during the offseason. They dump it out down to the right side. trying to go up the sideline. Let's see, this is going to be close. I don't think they got enough for the first down, though.
I agree with you. I think they're going to be a little bit short there.
Good rush that time put on by the Eagles.
And once more, I think Lenny Moore's extra effort got another 2 or 3 yards out of that, more than there should have been.
And they're crediting Brian Ward with the tackle, number 25. 4th and 5 situation. What do you say, Jeff? You have 3 minutes and 28 seconds to go here in the third quarter. Do you go for it on a 4th and 5 play? Well, they're obviously not. They're getting ready to punt.
I don't know. I think I would have to punt also. If I were in Len Andrews' position, I think I would punt the ball. Pardon me, that's Lee Andrews. I said Len. That's the second time I've made that error. Apologies to Lee.
No Christmas cards this season.
1-letter differential. What are you going to do?
And we have a timeout taken here by the Eagles. They're first to the ball game. Now, PW, if they get a good punt here, they have an excellent chance of trapping Norristown deep in their own territory. A scoreless ball game at Roosevelt Field.
I tell you, I think it's more pleasant outside right now than it was at 10 o'clock this morning with the sun shining brightly.
I can take this 65-degree weather. This isn't bad. Of course, in about 6 weeks from now, it'll be 27 degrees with no heat in the press box.
That's right.
And we'll all be wishing for these nice nights.
Well, let's get as many in as we can right now.
Well, the Eagles lucky this season, opening up with 4 straight home affairs. Then they hit the road for 2 weeks. They're back for 2 more road games, and then they return to Roosevelt Field for 1 more battle, and then it's on to Upper Merion for the Thanksgiving Day clash.
That's right, a seemingly inordinate number of home games this year for Norristown.
And quite a few local opponents. Of course, PW, one time a great suburban one-league rivalry. Methacton, Norristown hasn't played them in a couple of years, but that rivalry continues now next week.
That's right, George Marinkov always puts together a fine club. And didn't Methacton evolve with a tie against Springford in their first game, or did they pull out a victory in the last moments?
No, they missed the extra point attempt. They tied it very late in the contest. And here's the punt. Oh, a nice one. Plenty of hang time there. It's going to be fielded by the Eagles.
Golson.
And Golson picks up maybe 3 yards on the return, getting it just over the 10-yard line.
And Tony Bias, number 55 for the Colonials, put a nice leg into that ball.
Well, Tony Bias last week against North Penn punted 4 times for a 39.2 average, which is quite impressive on the high school level.
Absolutely.
And you can see there the nice hang time he got. You've got to question Golson fielding the ball that time. It looked like it probably would have taken a bounce, gone into the end zone, and touched back for 20. Eagles setting up now. They have the ball marked at about the 11-yard line. 3 minutes exactly to play in the first quarter. And Casano gives up the middle, not too much running room.
Forrest Davis that time the ball carrier for the Eagles.
Number 2 back there is Danny Boyd, joined by number 1, Forrest Davis, and number 26, Prince Bryant. Coming in and out with the sideline plays from head coach Roger Grove, number 4, Herald Golson, and number 6, Dave Mark.
On the line for Norristown, 79, Greg Reinhardt, 54, Mike Taylor, 64 for the Eagles, Rob Major. Casano hands off to Danny Boyd over the left side, no running room. Nice play that time by number 74, the Colonials, Kristen Alfie. Bill Musey, the center for Norristown, number 51.
Well, the Eagles are finding the going a little tougher this week against PW's defense, which has done an outstanding job so far.
Absolutely. I mean, if you look at the stats from last week against North Penn averaged, about 5.3 yards per carry against the Colonials. And you look at Norristown stats where they rushed for more than 9 yards a carry. And you've got to think PW's got to do a lot to shut down that running attack.
Exactly. North Penn's Rick Bueller got 130 yards on 24 carries. I was looking for Boyd to eat him up here on the turf.
Now, I find that interesting. They go Forrest Davis up the middle. I think he's going to be short of the first down, and Norristown, absolutely, that's what it is. Norristown's going to punt. Now, last week, I think we were very intrigued by the fact that Roger Grove was so diversified in his play calling. There was nothing, I think, that Bishop Kenrick could have done to predict what Roger was going to do next, and I think that was super. Norristown was so diverse. I was extremely pleased, and here he calls 3 running plays up the middle, I guess because of the poor field position.
I think he wants to play it close to the vest, especially early in this contest, because the Eagles aren't having their way on the offensive side of the field. Frank Casano lining up the punt. Punted once last week against Bishop Kenrick for 30 yards.
Snap.
Oh, no rush that time. The Eagles getting a break, and Casano with a beauty. Plenty of hang time. Fielded at the 46, almost fumbled. Norristown taking PW's return man down for maybe a 1-yard gain.
Well, Lenny Moore, I think, got no yardage there, but I think he's just happy that he didn't fumble the ball. That ball popped away from his chest, but Moore was able to recover it.
And Brian Ward, number 26, in there on the tackle, Jeff. So the Eagles lucky that time that PW wasn't rushing Casano, which you have to wonder about, too, since he was lining up at about the 8-yard line for that punt.
Well, that was more than a 30-yard punt that time by Casano. Very high snap. Casano brought it down. Pergine back to pass.
Oh, he has his man again. There he is, number 32. Keith Davis, plenty of room in the middle of the field, cuts back and picks up maybe about 12 yards. Looks like he gets the first down, too. Up to the 35, Jeff. Boy, PW wasting no time putting it back up.
And I'll tell you what I like about PW right here is the fact that their ball carriers aren't just let's go straight ahead, run over these guys, because you're not going to do that against Norristown High. Not as big as the Eagles are this year. They're taking great advantage of the cuts, cutback, misdirection, go the other way, and I think Norristown's getting caught flat-footed.
Right now we have an official's timeout here as they're measuring for the first down. It's going to be close. Second and inches. Less than the nose of the football. I'll tell you what. Oh, this is the ideal time. Second and inches, a play action pass. Go for it.
Go to the end zone, I think.
As long as you're not intercepted, it looks like a brilliant gamble. That's why we're up here and they're down there.
That's why we're saying throw the ball long, go deep.
Pergine at the helm here, barking out the snaps. And Pergine dropping back. That's what he does. He has his man open on the right flat, and they get the first down easily and about 8 more yards on top of it.
Smart play. Finally pulled out of bounds at the 25-yard line was number 82, Rob DiGiacomo. But I'll tell you, great call by Lee Andrews.
And a tough pass to complete, too. Mickey Pergine, a right-hander, rolling to his right side, and he got plenty of zip on that ball to break through the Eagles defenders there. DiGiacomo was covered, too, that time. So first and 10, ball at about the 24. And we have a timeout taken here. Oh, no, that's the end of the first quarter, excuse me. End of the first quarter, a scoreless ball game. Interesting first quarter. I'm kind of surprised, no points on the board here. And PW, I think, really has had the better part of this contest. PW took the opening kickoff. They fumbled on the second play of the contest. Eagles moved the ball immediately downfield, but they couldn't capitalize when Herald Golson couldn't come up with a Casano pass intended for him in the end zone. But now it's been all PW, and they've really had their way with the Eagles defenders.
Once again, we'd like to remind you this game being brought to you by the Norristown Area School District. Mr. Tony Koya producing our show this evening and directing, Mr. Sam Galbraith. The other gentleman who does the production and direction work for us,